Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Uganda Independence Summit. If you were here yesterday, welcome back. Today, we are having the health session, and in the studio with me, I have Dr. Kendra Goliski and I have Aaron Zeldana. We're going to exploit topics. We're going to talk about COVID 19, the facts of COVID 19 vaccines, the myths, and the conspiracy theories. Um, Aaron Zaldana is a third year medical student with Keck School of Medicine at USC, and he is doing his practice rotation with Dr. Kendra right now. And Dr. Kendra Goliski is a medical director of LS program for torture victims, and she learned the forensic examination from its founder, Dr. Jose Quiroga, and she is trained in family and adolescent medicine. She is a family doctor. Dr. Kendra serves low income earners, immigrants, and homeless individuals in community clinics. She is the chair of bioethics um, at California Hospital, and she edits the bioethics newsletter. Dr. Galinsky also teaches ambulatory medicine and the art of service and social justice, a USC elective analyzing community projects. She makes service trips to Central America, Asia, and Africa, and is a scoutmaster for an inner city boy scout troop. Her family includes a physician who is her husband, and they're blessed with 3 children.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Abakyala n'abaami mbalamusizza. My names are Joanne Namugabo. I'm a program coordinator, Immigrant Guide. I welcome you all to the Ugandan Independence Summit 2021, organized by Immigrant Guide. First of all, I want to thank the team that has put up this together. The Immigrant Guide team, the community leaders, the volunteers, and everyone else who has invested their time. Thank you so much. Before I forget, Happy Independence Uganda, Happy Independence everyone. In Immigrant Guide, we work with different immigrants, the asylum seekers, victims of human trafficking, refugees, among others, and we have different programs and projects, among which we work with the youth. I'm so proud this year to have led a team from Immigrant Guide that sponsored this UNA Soccer Youth Tournament in Cincinnati, Ohio. We are so proud to have supported the youth from different communities, from different states all over North America. We do different programs and projects. You can visit us on our website and on our social media platforms to see the work we do. Thank you so much and enjoy the event.
Olá, senhoras e senhores, muito prazer em conhecê-los. Hello, my name is Mara Kage and I'm Immigrant Guide's Program Manager, and myself an immigrant from Brazil. The organization missions to support, guide, and improve access to resources and information to elevate our immigrant community here in the United States. I wanted to highlight 2 initiatives that we have been developing during this challenging COVID times to respond to unique gaps. First, our funding distribution initiative. We've provided community members in vulnerable positions that have not been part of the federal government COVID relief plan with meaningful funding support. And second, we've conducted vaccination clinics as well as community dialogue to address vaccination hesitancy through also partnering with local community-based organizations here in the Seattle area. Both initiatives aim to address immediate gaps that our communities are experiencing. And we hope that the organization's work and this event will inspire you to think more deeply and engage in matters towards the well-being of the immigrant community. Thank you.
Mbalamusiza nnyo bassebo ne bannyabo. My name is Mpima Mugambe and I'm the team leader at Immigrant Guide. Immigrant Guide is a non-profit organization specifically serving vulnerable immigrants. Our approach to community service is community-centered, community inclusive, and our engagement strategy is focused on sustainability. We try to support our communities in a way that they can continue with the same kind of projects, even in the absence of Immigrant Guide. We believe that achieving that very mark is the beginning of a long journey to community change. Most of our projects that you have heard our team talk about are implemented in collaboration with our communities. And the best example is the Uganda Independence Summit that we are attending right now. We have always partnered with community organizations like UCOC since 2019. This year is the third year we are organizing the Uganda Independence Summit, engaging you, our communities, in deep conversations on several topics. Our uniqueness as Immigrant Guide lies in working at the intersection of social work and technology. Our successes wouldn't have been achieved or couldn't have been achieved without the support of you, our wonderful community, and our partners who have donated to our organization generously. Thank you very much. Mwebale nnyo, mwebale gedda. Enjoy this summit, and I cannot wait to hear your feedback. Thank you.
Welcome back from that break. Again, you are watching Uganda Independence Summit, and it's organized by the Immigrant Guide program. In the studio with me, I have Dr. Kendra Golinsky and Aaron Zildana. Today, we're going to talk about COVID-19, the different topics that we're going to be exploiting. I'm going to talk about the facts of COVID-19 vaccines and the myths and the conspiracy theories. You are welcome to the studio, Aaron and Dr. Kendra.
Are you on? Yeah. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, Dr. Kendra.
Thank you for inviting us.
You're welcome. Thank you for making it to the summit today.
Well, first, let me introduce myself a little more specifically. You said some nice things. I am bioethics newsletter editor for Southern California, but I'm not the chair any longer. I passed that baton after 20 years of doing that. And I am a family medicine doctor, family practice. I'm not an infectious disease specialist. So if you want to go into further detail and depth, then it'd be a good idea to stay with Dr. Fauci and other infectious disease specialists. But I'll be happy to do my best to navigate the minefields of this information. And I can tell you, I can lead you to good sites on the web. It's very important to pick sites that you can trust, that will not increase your anxiety, but will increase your understanding. And my medical student and I, and a wonderful nurse who's joined us, have been perusing the internet to find those sites. So he hopefully can help you with this.
Okay, thank you so much. So, Aaron, do you want to say something? Any more details about yourself?
Hi, yeah, no, I'm just glad to be here. Thank you for the very warm introduction. I think you got everything for me.
You're welcome, and thank you for being here. So I want to ask about the different types because now we heard that the children's vaccines are being released, and what types of vaccines are available for kids, Dr. Kendra?
Well, the vaccines that are available in the United States, as you all know, are the Pfizer, the Moderna, and the Johnson & Johnson. But the ones that will be available to children in the coming weeks, we suspect, will be the Pfizer currently, although they are working on this I think, in all of these areas. Uganda gets, however, my understanding is the AstraZeneca. But most of my information is coming from sources that have been exploring the effects and responses of those vaccines used in the United States currently.
Okay, Aaron, you've had of vaccines that are made from the virus itself, so that the body is able to build its own antibodies. Yeah. So how does the COVID-19 vaccine work in the human body, and what is it made of?
Yeah, great question. So this is a newer vaccine that we're seeing. Typically, like you said, in the past, vaccines have been made using either a dead virus or a destroyed virus or an altered virus, and that's placed into the body, and that's used so that the body can recognize a particular part of that virus and generate defense, like an immune defense against it in the future. So that's typically how our vaccines have worked. With our mRNA vaccines, specifically our Pfizer and our Moderna, it's a newer technology. What it involves is mRNA. It's part of our genetic coding in a way. It's similar to DNA, but mRNA, what that does is it tells cells in our body how to make certain proteins, and these proteins go on to become different parts of our body, which have different functions. So with our Pfizer and our Moderna, what's being placed in the vaccine is mRNA, which was made after studying the coronavirus very well, and it's giving the body instructions on how to produce a certain particle of the virus. We're not making the virus, and you're not getting the actual coronavirus. It's making a surface part of the virus that's on the surface of the virus. And it's giving the body instructions on how to make that, so that in the event that you recognize or you run into coronavirus, your body is already ready and has encountered this already and can recognize the virus.
Okay. Excuse me. After getting the vaccine, how long does it take for the body to create its own immunity?
Well, we believe that people it's working on it immediately, but it's most effective 2 weeks after the dose. So although there's some protection that happens quite quickly, it's not adequate to have a person feel protected completely. And that's why sometimes you'll hear about a person that contracted the disease, and they think, well, how did this happen? And then you need to really clarify when they got the vaccine, when they got the second vaccine, and has it been 2 weeks since the second vaccine before you can feel that was true breakthrough.
Okay. Also, we've heard that the Moderna vaccine is linked to the myocarditis and the pericarditis, heart risks. What are the side effects that one should be looking out for after getting the vaccines, the different vaccines out there?
I can start with this, and Aaron can fill this in as well. It's a very rare case. It's thought to possibly affect young people, young adults, and it can present with shortness of breath and chest pain, but it's extremely rare, and it seems to resolve very well on its own. Can be treated with some non-steroidals, and sometimes steroids can be used, but that it should be determined by a physician. So if a person does get chest pain or shortness of breath after the second vaccine, they should contact their physician. And if they can't get a hold of their physician, they should go to an emergency room. But I don't think people need to be alarmed. It is rare. And now you know what to do. One might guess that you would naturally contact your physician or go to the emergency room if you had such symptoms anyway.
Yes.
You want to add something
And
to that, Aaron?
sorry, you
Yeah,
can add
just really
something to that and also tell us how these side effects can be minimized.
Of course. So just adding on to what Dr. Gorlitsky said about how uncommon, how rare the myocarditis is. There's a study that was in a very prestigious journal of medicine here that showed that the incidence, meaning how often the myocarditis was seen in patients who received the vaccine, was about for every 100,000 people vaccinated, there was one person who had the myocarditis, meaning that the other 99,000 people, 99,999 people who got the vaccine did not experience it. So that's less than 1%. We're talking a fraction of a percent of people who receive the vaccine have a chance of experiencing myocarditis. In terms of mitigating the other symptoms, well, you're referring, I'm assuming, to like, just generally feeling ill or fatigue, the soreness. A lot of the time that can be handled with, your over-the-counter anti-inflammatory, so like a Tylenol or ibuprofen, assuming you have no health contraindications to that.
Okay. Dr. Kendra, are there any guidelines that one has to follow before they get the COVID-19 vaccine?
Well, I would say the most important thing that you can do before you get the vaccine is to look at the CDC website or perhaps WebMD or family.com, a website that will give you honest and accurate information. And don't scare yourself by going to websites that really prey on fears. And through those websites, people can sell things, they can get interest, they can send out a net that allows people to give their personal information. So you want to stay away from that.
Yes.
Johns Hopkins is excellent. Yale has some good information. And the CDC is, and even California.gov, and perhaps depending on the state that you're in, will be very helpful. I've felt, and you can, if you're in another state, you can certainly log on to California.gov. They also, California's website is up to date and excellent. So look at that first. And if you have some concerns, maybe chat with your own doctor, nurse practitioner, or PA to kind of feel reassured. They've been down this road before with many other patients. And then go in and feel as excited, I hope, as I did when I got the vaccine. I felt so much safer, so much safer.
Yes, that's true. And after you've decided to get the vaccine, I think one needs to know how frequent the vaccines are and how efficient they are. Aaron, could you please tell us how efficient the vaccines are?
Yeah, so there's two measures used really to kind of say how efficient the vaccine are, or what people look at when they say how efficient a vaccine is here. In particular with COVID, the two main things being looked at are how often people who are vaccinated are getting infected, and then of these people being infected, how many of them are experiencing severe complications due to COVID, such as being hospitalized, having worse health outcomes. So from the data we have based off of the CDC, the latest data shows that overall across the three vaccines that we have here, the average efficacy is around 90%, and that is a combination of that is preventing 90% preventing serious complications, which is extremely good when you compare it to our other more routine vaccines such as the flu vaccine, which is a different vaccine, but just for kind of an idea of something more relatable is depending on the year, anywhere from 45 to 70% effective. So it's very good. It's very good.
Okay. There have been those cases where people have been fully vaccinated, but they still catch COVID-19. Why are those cases there? If it's 90%, yes, it's the 10%, but people feel like if I'm vaccinated, I should be fully protected.
I would say that this is where the Delta variants come in. And we are following that very closely. We're trying to figure out how we can best prevent that from happening. One of the ways is to try to get as many people vaccinated as possible. The less that the vaccine has a host that it can invade and come up with some clever ways of outfoxing us, the better chance we have of preventing even breakthroughs because of the variants. Now, the flu has been very clever at this for many years, and that's the reason we have to get flu vaccines on a yearly basis. But anybody who's ever actually had the flu, I didn't used to get the flu vaccine maybe 20 years ago. I used to think, oh, I'm such a healthy person. I don't need
Exactly.
the flu vaccine. Then I got the flu. Once I got the flu, I realized that it made me so much sicker than the common cold that I never wanted to take that chance again. And since then, I've been very fortunate, even though I come in contact with ill people on a regular basis, and I have not gotten that. So I wouldn't want anyone to have to wait till they have a family member with COVID to decide that minimizing the risk substantially by getting, maybe not 100%, we know not 100%, unfortunately, but
Yes.
substantially, you want to avoid this disease, which can put you on a ventilator and kill you. So you want to avoid that, or a dear relative that's come in contact with you if you should contract the virus. Want to add something to that, Aaron?
Yeah, no, I think I think you nailed it. A lot of it has to do with the Delta variant that we're seeing now.
Yes.
And really, even before that, there's always that possibility that, like I said, it's 90% effective. It's not 100% as much as we would like that. But yeah, I think Dr. Gorlitsky covered everything there.
Okay, and since you've mentioned the Delta variant and you've talked about the flu, we know that the flu virus mutates. Is it proven that also the COVID-19 virus is going to be mutating, and are we going to keep seeing different variants coming in over time, or there's going to find a way of stopping that from happening?
You want to try that, Aaron?
Yeah, yeah. So the coronavirus, like you said, the flu virus does mutate, and coronavirus similarly has had mutations in a similar fashion. And in fact, that's how we got the Delta variant, actually. It was a mutation on a certain part of it that formed this variant, which differentiates it from the original one we saw. So it does mutate, and I think the biggest thing that predisposes the virus to mutating is how often we're seeing it in people, infecting people. The more people it infects, the more opportunities it has to mutate. So that's why it goes back to the importance of making sure people get vaccinated, because the more we vaccinate, the less chances COVID has to mutate.
Okay, so everybody has had, if you're not yet vaccinated, you should go get vaccinated so that the virus does not mutate. And you've talked, we have seen that there's booster shots out right now. Who is eligible to get a booster shot, and what should one expect from the booster shots, and how often does one have to be getting the booster shot? Dr. Kendra, you want to?
So currently it is eligible for 65 and over, residents
Okay.
of long-term facilities, 18 to 64 years old with underlying health conditions, or workers at risk, like teachers, healthcare workers, and those that are immunocompromised. And do we think also it's recommended 6 months after you've completed the original vaccination series.
Okay.
But we're thinking this is going to possibly open up more, but
Okay.
stay tuned.
And how often does one have to get it? Because the flu shots, I think it's every year. Are we going to be getting booster shots every year for COVID-19?
I would not be surprised. How about you, Aaron?
Yeah, I feel the same, at least until we get a better grasp. I think it's safe to say in the near future it'll most likely be necessary.
Okay, what are the COVID-19 limitations, and can anyone take the vaccine even if they have underlying conditions?
Well, there are very few exceptions to eligibility once you've met the criteria. So even if you have a cancer, an immunocompromised situation, because it's not a live vaccine, we don't have many restrictions at all. If you had a bona fide allergic reaction to then a physician should verify that, and then in that case you would not take it. But that's the reason that people stay for 15 minutes afterwards, to make sure they don't have a reaction. And when I'm talking about a reaction, I'm thinking about things that would make you acutely short of breath. That would be an example. But I can't think of another reason not to get the vaccine. My pregnant daughter got the vaccine, and I am so glad because she's breastfeeding. We think that is protective. And so I can't think of any. How about you, Aaron?
No, actually, and I think I spent some time working in an allergy and immunology clinic, and we had a lot of patients with very varying stages of immunocompromise, and even they were strongly recommended to receive the vaccine. I think, like Dr. Gorlitsky said, the really only strong indication to not get the vaccine would be allergy to any of the components.
Okay, so that means even if one contracts the virus, they can still get the vaccine when they're still.
Yes, we think that contracting the virus may give you some protection, but it is not as robust as what you would get if you additionally got the vaccine. So we think that you should get it 2 weeks after you recover. And you might have that go out a little longer, to maybe 3 months, if you received as part of your treatment in perhaps in the hospital, or if you were very sick and outpatient and managed to get a hold of the auto antibodies, then you might wait for 3 months. That is my understanding. How about you, Aaron?
Yeah, that I have the same. I think we're on the same page there. Just to emphasize that, I know some people I've heard, at least in the community, people say that because they had COVID, they don't need the vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
Studies have shown that in people who had COVID, the levels of immune response to COVID were significantly stronger in people who had COVID and got the vaccine versus those who just had COVID. So it's really only going to help you more.
Okay, and does any of the vaccines contraindicate with any medications, or even if you're taking medications, you can still take the vaccine?
No contraindication that I'm aware of.
Okay. And what I wanted to ask what I wanted to ask next is, does can somebody interchange the vaccines? If I got a Moderna, can I get Pfizer? Because Moderna boosters are not yet out, but then we see Pfizer has a booster already. So can I get a Pfizer booster if I had Moderna fully vaccination?
You can take that, Aaron.
Yeah. So from a perspective of public health authorities, the FDA and the CDC are recommending at the moment that people who had Moderna or Johnson & Johnson wait at the moment. They're only recommending the Pfizer booster for those who had the original vaccination from Pfizer. That being said, from a more scientific, like a literature point of view, there have been studies looking at this, and they've shown that the booster, there hasn't really been a contraindication to doing that, and that there is the immune response to having a booster from a different company, such as you got Moderna and you get Pfizer, has worked. But I think for now, it's most important to listen to the FDA and the CDC and what they're recommending. And we're very likely to hear very shortly about boosters for Moderna.
And I would just add to that, in the United States, certainly in California, we're getting a card that we can verify which one we're getting. And that is kind of a registry that helps document we've done. So if you were tempted to go ahead and grab the booster, and maybe you hadn't had the Pfizer, it might conflict if you were trying to get that registration completed. So I think we do feel that those 2 shots are protective, and this is an extra precaution. So hang in there if you've got the Moderna and the Johnson & Johnson, and they're working furiously to help this get out soon. So I think it's going to come soon.
Okay. And now let's go to the myths and the conspiracy theories. You know, you've heard of those stories, people saying when you get the vaccine, you have a chip implanted in your body, so they're going to be tracking you wherever you go. There's so many myths and conspiracy theories going out there, and there's the DNA alteration, infertility, and among so many others. So, what do you want to tell people about these myths? What should they know and believe when it comes to?
I'm going to take the first 2 myths, and then I'm going to let Aaron take the next ones. Well, not necessarily the first 2, but the ones that I've looked into the most recently that I found fairly fascinating. One is the infertility, and that's been completely debunked. And we are following this so carefully because, as you can imagine, we want to know how women do with this virus. And this is the sort of thing that, and with a vaccine, that in the United States, we have registries. So we are looking very closely at any substance that goes into a woman's body, as a matter of fact. And we have not found that to be the case. As a mother of 2 women of childbearing age, I can tell you it's very near and dear to my heart. And yet I have strongly encouraged the vaccine for my children. Now, the question of the embryo, the use of embryo, that's very interesting. And I want to be really honest with people who have some concerns about that. While I may have, and many people that are in the medical profession have strong feelings about women's right to choose, we understand that there are people who have some religious concerns about using any fetal tissue. So I want to address this from the standpoint of both the Catholic and Church and the Baptist higher lord these issues with their constituents. And I can tell you that in the production of the Pfizer vaccine, there is no use of embryonic tissue at all. And they did use some embryonic tissue lines that were collected long ago, like 1960. And they used that in the testing, but not in the production. And so people who are against abortion or concerned about this do not feel like they have contributed in any way to the elimination of a fetus. That's really important for them to understand that. And the Pope knows that. And the hierarchy of the Baptist Church is aware of that. And it's said and is admonished people, including those who do Johnson & Johnson, which may have used the embryonic tissue a little more in the production. But once again, this is very old and already harvested embryonic tissue, nothing that has been recently done. And the conclusion of these religious leaders was that taking the vaccine is an act of charity to fellow human beings. Charity to fellow human beings. It's a really important thing to keep in mind. If you feel like you're invulnerable and you want to take that risk, just realize that you unknowingly might be contributing toward the risk of someone near and dear to, if not you, to someone else. So out of human compassion and affection for your fellow human beings, you might want to go ahead and take that vaccine.
That's right. And I think some people are just afraid because they hear stories of people saying that after getting the vaccine, I got sick. Could you set it straight? What causes the sickness after getting this vaccine? Aaron, could you please state that?
Yeah. So this isn't unique to the the COVID vaccine. We see this response to even the flu shot. I remember my own flu shot. I remember feeling miserable after it last year. So what's going on is whenever we're trying to teach the immune system what to protect us against, like in the case of a vaccine, what this involves is that it involves the production of a lot of new white blood cells. these white blood cells are going to produce components that help protect us in the future from infection. The reason we get sick and feel like the muscle aches, the soreness, like our bones hurt, the fevers, is a lot of these cells are being made from your bone marrow, so in your bones, and a lot of that may be contributing to the soreness, as well as some of these components used to kill like viruses and bacteria that are produced by your body to protect us. Also have some side produce effects on our own how we feel. So that's why when you get sick, you have a fever, you feel sore, and that's because that's just signs of your body producing an immune response to an invading bacteria, an invading virus.
Yes. And that's true for most vaccine. There are so many different vaccines that you get and you still feel sick after getting the vaccine. So I think people should not be scared and afraid of getting the vaccine because they're still getting protected. Getting sick, feeling sick after getting the vaccine should be something expected. Okay, now some people who have contacted COVID-19 say that they do not feel the same after. When they cure from the vaccine, they still feel funny. So does the vaccine change your health condition completely, or you can go back to normal? Dr.
I'll
Kendra,
take that, Aaron, and you can supplement if you would. You know, medicine, it's always difficult to determine emotional response to something and fears. It's very tricky for doctors to sort that out, especially around a topic that's become so emotional for so many people. So we are studying this, and there's a lot of interest in the concern for people who contract COVID rather than the vaccine, but contract COVID and what their symptoms are, and if we know that that we can have some symptoms 2 weeks out from the contraction. That seems to be the main course. And for the vaccine, 24 hours, maybe 48. And after that, it's something that needs to be looked into and investigated by physicians. And if they are concerned, if you go to your family doctor and say, I don't know, I felt like this ever since I had COVID or I got the vaccine. What do you think of this? They will probably examine you and see if there's another reason you could have contracted something else since that illness or since that vaccine that could explain your symptoms. In which case, you would get the regular treatment for those things. Now, if you didn't respond as expected, as you had in the past, or as expected now, then that would be bumped up to a further investigation. So right now, we're in the process of collecting data on that. In my own experience, in my clinic, what I do is I ask these folks to come back and see me on a regular basis, and I monitor things such as their oxygenation, how their lungs sound when I listen, what their daily level of activity is. And I also try to reassure them if I think there's an anxiety component to it as well. You want to add anything to that, Aaron?
I think that was pretty extensive, pretty thorough, I think.
And I've heard some people say that, so you can correct me on that if that's true or not. I've heard some people say that when you contract the vaccine, the virus can eat up different body parts, not body parts, but your organs. And when it gets to your organs, then it affects your organs like the heart or your liver or your kidney. How true is that? And when you get the vaccine or when you get cured, do your organs also cure? Like, do they be free of the vaccine? Sorry, of the virus. Sorry about that. Dr. Kendra, do you want to take that, please?
No, I can just say that is one of those myths circulated at disreputable sites, and there's no evidence of the vaccine doing anything like that to organs. And I would think this is being investigated. There's probably been very few things investigated as and followed as closely as this particular vaccine is being investigated. And I can really assure you that if we saw organs disintegrating after a vaccine, we would know about that. And we're not seeing that. I got a question from someone in the chat that they had been vaccinated, but they lost their record and they need to travel. Well, you need to go back to the source. You know, it's really hard to lose things these days. Whoever gave you that vaccine probably has a record of it. So I would go back to the source, and I suspect that's your best bet. Otherwise, you might have to get revaccinated if you really want to travel, because I think they're getting more and more clear about that. There's a possibility that you could get the tested for COVID before you get on a plane, and that might be enough for some airlines. So that'll just depend on the airline that you're trying to get on.
Okay. And why do we still have to wear masks even after you've been fully vaccinated? Should we just accept that we're going to wear masks for the rest of our lives, or it's going to be controlled to a certain extent? Aaron, do you want to take that on?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good question. A lot of it, well, there's a few components to it. First being, when you immediately receive the vaccine, if you're in that stage between the first and second vaccine, you're not considered to be fully immune yet. So there's always the chance that you're carrying the virus, you get sick, or even worse, get someone else sick. And that's the biggest purpose of the mask, is to protect yourself and protect others from the virus or the spread of the virus. The other thing is, like we said earlier, this vaccine, unfortunately, is not 100% effective. There's always a very, very small possibility of a breakthrough infection. And in the event of that, we always want to be cautious and make sure that we're reducing the spread of the virus as much as possible with the use of masks. As to whether or not we'll need to use masks the rest of our lives, I like to be optimistic and think that hopefully not, that once we have a better grasp of the vaccine and hopefully the development of not just a vaccine, but a cure to the virus, maybe at that stage we won't require the use of masks anymore. But I'll let Dr. Korlitsky add anything if she has anything.
I think we can liken this a little bit to the HIV epidemic in the sense of we needed to take precautions and the use of condoms consistently across the board. We did universal precautions when we touched blood. And as a result of that use of condoms, we could also protect against unplanned pregnancies and other kinds of sexually transmitted diseases. Of course, not everyone in a relationship or whether it's permanent or casual wants to use a condom, and yet there were some benefits from that. I think we've made tremendous strides with HIV control, and I'm hopeful that we will be able to do this with COVID as well. I would say that I love smiles, and I really miss seeing the lower part of patients' faces. Thank goodness for Zoom and opportunities to see that, but I like to see that in person as well. So I probably miss faces as much as anybody does, but I can also tell you anecdotally that I used to have maybe 3 infections that would cause me to be ill with a little low-grade fever and a bad cough a year before I started using the mask on a regular basis. And these were not COVID, and this was not the flu, but they were annoying viruses. And since I've had the mask, I'm sure many of you have would lie in bed and think before you got out of bed, do I have a sore throat today? Do I have a cough? Oh my goodness. And the amazing thing is I have been so healthy, except for the extra poundage that all of us are experiencing because they're not getting out enough. I would say I have learned to realize how protective it is. And the same thing goes for shaking hands. Now we maybe put our hands together like our some wonderful cultures do, and bow our heads and say thank you that way, extend an elbow, bump a shoulder. But we're learning different ways to adapt to this. I, like Aaron, am optimistic that we're going to get a hold of this and we're going to get to see each other's faces more regularly. but let's try to stay on the positive side of this and appreciate how beautiful the masks are getting. I have a sunflower mask that makes me smile whenever I see it. So I'll show it to you later. But for right now, we have to stay with the guidelines that are being put out to us and are telling us that maybe we got to be a little more careful, especially when the variants are raging, so that we can keep each other safer.
Well, at least now people are getting really creative with the masks. That's a beautiful mask you have right there. And there's a question from Facebook. Someone is asking, why should we trust a vaccine that hasn't been tested enough? We currently have many medications pulled off shelves for causing cancer. Won't this be the same with the vaccine? Aaron, do you want to take that?
Yeah. That's a very fair question. The thing is, a lot of research has gone into the making of this vaccine before COVID even existed. The technology for an mRNA vaccine has been in research for a minimum of at least the last 10 years. There's been experimentation with other illnesses, such as the cold virus, HIV, even cancers, trying to use an mRNA vaccine for cancer cure. That has been being researched long before COVID-19 came into existence. I think just a lot of the problem is that a lot of that research, isn't as glamorous, or it doesn't make for interesting news headline, especially when it doesn't. It's not the center of the world's attention like COVID right now is.
Okay. Thank you so much for all the information you've given. Personally, I've learned a lot because there's a lot of myths and beliefs out there, and you find yourself believing because you don't really know what's going out there. And now at least we know where to go to get more information about the vaccines before we get one, and we know what to believe and what not to believe. Thank you so much for that, for the beautiful information and going into depth with the vaccines. Thank you so much. And this marks the end of our discussion. Could you please give us your last remarks, Dr. Kendra?
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being part of this. Thanks for your excellent questions, and stay safe.
Thank you so much. And Aaron, do you have any closing remarks?
Yeah, again, just thank you once again for having us. It's been a pleasure to be here and discuss this with you. And just, these are very difficult times for everyone, and just remember to be kind to each other. It's really the only thing we can do.
Yes, thank you. And from what you've said, all I can tell everybody is that you should get vaccinated. Don't be scared to get the vaccine, because you're helping your family members, you're helping your friends, and you're helping yourself too. And hopefully, when we all get vaccinated, we won't have more new variants coming out. Thank you so much for all the information. Have yourself a good day till afternoon. Have yourself a good afternoon. And I want to say happy independence to the Ugandans. Today is Uganda's Independence Day. Mm-hmm. And that's why we're celebrating with the summit, to give our people more information, and so that they get to know what to do in these times where we're all just trying to survive and learn to live with what we have right now. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Abakyala n'abaami mbalamusizza. My names are Joanne Namugabo. I'm a program coordinator, Immigrant Guide. I welcome you all to the Ugandan Independence Summit 2021, organized by Immigrant Guide. First of all, I want to thank the team that has put up this together. The Immigrant Guide team, the community leaders, the volunteers, and everyone else who has invested their time. Thank you so much. Before I forget, Happy Independence Uganda, Happy Independence everyone. In Immigrant Guide, we work with different immigrants, the asylum seekers, victims of human trafficking, refugees, among others, and we have different programs and projects, among which we work with the youth. I'm so proud this year to have led a team from Immigrant Guide that sponsored this UNA Soccer Youth Tournament in Cincinnati, Ohio. We are so proud to have supported the youth from different communities, from different states, all over North America. We do different programs and projects. You can visit us on our website and on our social media platforms to see the work we do. Thank you so much and enjoy the event.
Olá, senhoras e senhores, muito prazer em conhecê-los. Hello, my name is Marakage and I'm Immigrant Guide's Program Manager, and myself an immigrant from Brazil. The organization missions to support, guide, and improve access to resources and information to elevate our immigrant community here in the United States. I wanted to highlight two initiatives that we have been developing during this challenging COVID times to respond to unique gaps. First, our funding distribution initiative. We've provided community members in vulnerable positions that have not been part of the federal government COVID relief plan with meaningful funding support. And second, we've conducted vaccination clinics as well as community dialogue to address vaccination hesitancy through also partnering with local community-based organizations here in the Seattle area. Both initiatives aim to address immediate gaps that our communities are experiencing. And we hope that the organization's work and this event will inspire you to think more deeply and engage in matters towards the well-being of the immigrant community. Thank you.
Mbalamusizza nnyo bassebo ne bannyawo. My name is Mpima Mugambe and I'm the team leader at Immigrant Guide. Immigrant Guide is a non-profit organization specifically serving vulnerable immigrants. Our approach to community service is community-centered, community inclusive, and our engagement strategy is focused on sustainability. We try to support our communities in a way that they can continue with the same kind of projects even in the absence of Immigrant Guide. We believe that achieving that very mark is the beginning of a long journey to community change. Most of our projects that you have heard our team talk about are implemented in collaboration with our communities, and the best example is the Uganda Independence Summit that we are attending right now. We have always partnered with community organizations like UCOC since 2019. This year is the third year we are organizing the Uganda Independence Summit, engaging you, our communities, in deep conversations on several topics. Our uniqueness as Immigrant Guide lies in working at the intersection of social work and technology. Our successes wouldn't have been achieved or couldn't have been achieved without the support of you, our wonderful community. and our partners who have donated to our organization generously. Thank you very much. Mwebale nnyo, mwebale gedala. Enjoy this summit, and I cannot wait to hear your feedback. Thank you.
Welcome back from that break. Sorry about the technical issue in my end. As you're still watching the Uganda Independence Summit with, I'm Agatha Lois Gochalia, who's been your host for the health discussion. At 3, we are going to be having the business and investment discussion with Brenda. She's going to be your next host. And for now, we can have the band. We enjoy the music from Uganda. I want you guys to enjoy your independence, and we'll see you at 3 p.m. later today. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned in.
Hello everybody, this is Afromenko Band tonight. We are excited to celebrate Uganda with Ugandans in the United States. Actually, this is our second time partnering with Immigrant Guide to celebrate Uganda and our culture together. My name is Angel Adio, all the way from Uganda with Afromenko Band. And on the guitar is none other than Marshall Afromenko. On the keys is Pastor P tonight. On the bass line is Tevin Mulira, Bishop. And the heartbeat of the band is none other than Ronnie Moore. We're really excited to have us tonight. Please enjoy every bit of it. Over to you, Agatha and Brenda. Thank you so much for hosting us tonight.
Yeah, so this next song is called Ijatu Jende of my first album, and it means come let's go. Please enjoy.
tadega mi pongilonge tatu talo timutolo yeah hey I'm the one hey I'm oh tare chanda lentambi I'm sure I am the mulala tare chanda lentambi sondela tadega mi pongilonge tatu talo timutolo yeah yamame timingawe oh yeah babestando sun mi pongilonge tatu talo timutolo yeah yamame timingawe oh babestando sa oh sondela sandwa nalo tadega mi pongilonge tatu talo timutolo yeah Mama wange omutima njegere ne wengenda wanjagala kudanga woli mukwano gwange omukwano ye mama omutima ye mama ye mama omutima gumbe ngutwale ye mama nasobeza nkiriza wenene nyanga ebyemikwano webityo muno ngasobeza bwatyo neyenenya sonyiwengako omukwano ye mama omutima gumbe ngutwale ebyomumaka tubikume bibenga byacama bano kusengete egenda wanjagala kudanga woli mukwano gwange odayana ye mama omutima gumbe ngutwale ye mama odayana ye mama omutima gumbe ngutwale ye mama come on Diana Gonda Diana Chusa Nyenya Mawo Chusa Mawo Hey Diana Gonda Tevin Chusa Chusa Mawo Hey Pastor Pipi Ronnie Konda Afromengo Yeah Digida Ladies and gentlemen, dancing time. Taking you back in time. Cha-cha. nyonso na mchana. Ai, baby sile. Okolela ngai zamba nyonso na mchana. Ai, baby sile. Okolela ngai butu nyonso na mchana. Ai, baby sile. Woo! Come on. Come on. Sibula, 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 sibula nyos, sibula, 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 sibula nyos. Eh, ay, 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 ay. Happy Independence, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. Woo! Okay. Okay. Okolela ngai mwana mboka na mchana. Ai, baby sile. Tango tongo ngai tango nyonso na mchana. Ai, baby sile. Okolela ngai butu nyonso na mchana. Ai, baby sile. Woo! Oka, 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 oka. Eh! Thank you so much, everyone. It has really been such a great event. Thank you so much, Agatha and Brenda, for hosting us tonight. Thank you, Immigrant Guide. We're looking forward to working with you over and over again. It's really such a pleasure. We want to thank our sponsors tonight. Makasi Drink. Thank you so much. Aspire to be more. We want to thank the Uganda community in California, UCOC, and Immigrant Guide and its leaders. Thank you so much. And a happy independence to you all. Please don't forget to go to our website, afromenkoband.com. Looking forward to working with you again. All the best.